In a very special Growing Pains, Mike Seaver has to decide whether to say yes or no to drugs. Then, the writers of Growing Pains say yes to a whole lot of drugs and send Ben on a journey into the depths of his unconscious. Battle of the Network shows. Join Rick Brooks and Mike Kogel as they explore the TV of the 70s and 80s through hand-picked episodes of their favorite and not-so-favorite series.
Welcome to another Battle of the Network shows. I'm Mike, and here with Rick.
Hey, everyone.
And today we're doing another episode based on one of our listener polls. This one was for Family Sitcom, and we had three choices.
Yes, our family of listeners voted from Growing Pains, Who's the Boss, and Valerie's family / the Hogan family, Hogans. Yeah. You get the idea.
And our voters chose, it was a little tight between two of the shows. Mm-hmm. And this was across multiple platforms. The Facebook page, the Facebook group, our website, and our Instagram. Mm-hmm. And Growing Pains won out over Who's the Boss. Valerie / et cetera, only had one.
Yeah, well, better like next time.
100 votes.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't have enough votes.
100 votes, yes.
Yes. Also, we had a couple of write-ins. Mm-hmm. We didn't ask for write-ins. There was no indication that there could be write-ins, but
I'm intrigued, and that's part of the democratic process.
Yeah.
So,
friend of the show, Amy, suggested soap, which you diplomatically said might fit in a different category.
Yeah, I think we were looking to have people vote on a specific type of family sitcom here, which I'd see soap. I definitely think soap is a candidate for future season. But maybe not in this particular poll, but I think it's a good idea for another episode.
And someone on Instagram suggested 8 is enough, which of course we've already covered.
Yes, I mean,
I did tell this person that at least one of us might be happy if we just did 8 is enough every week.
Yeah. But, yeah. Hey, I would love for an excuse to revisit 8 is enough, but be one of our the rare two-timer club along with Chips. But yeah, maybe down the road. But yes, we encourage you to look in the archives, and if you go to our page, battleofthenetworkshows.com, you can see all the episodes we've ever done and explore our archives and visit our vast library of podcast episodes.
Yes, and if you go to our Facebook page or Facebook group, you can maybe get into some lively conversation about some of these topics.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you and love to have people participate or just talk about TV of the 70s and 80s to begin with. We have a fun time and appreciate everybody that contributes, especially in our Facebook group. Yes. We have a page, and then if you just ask for an invite, we'd be glad to have you in our Battle of the Network shows group on Facebook.
Exactly. But yeah, Growing Pains won. That, of course, is the mid-'80s to early '90s.
Yeah, it's a 7-season run.
Yeah, it seems to, at least in the first few seasons, been a really successful show. Yeah,
it was a top 10 show, right, for a couple of years. Yeah. Did pretty well.
People might probably remember it because of that. Kirk Cameron is Mike. Amazon describes him as a ladies' man. I don't know if that really fits, but a little bit of a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Not as bright as he maybe could be.
Yeah, not
at least book smart.
Not academically committed.
Yeah. He tries to get away with stuff, but he's not a bad kid.
No, he's a little bit of a hustler.
Yeah. Then there's Carol. Actually, she's the oldest. Mm-hmm. Played by Tracy Gold, the Gold dynasty of child actors.
Yeah.
She's smart. I don't remember much else other than them making fun of her a lot for her weight or being ugly, which neither of them seems to be really true. So,
and given what happened with her, that's kind of weird to watch that now.
Yeah,
the fact that they put that like they'd be making fat jokes about her on the show.
Yeah,
is a little bizarre.
Yeah, I mean siblings do that stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and actually,
and her character, at least in some seasons, gives as good as she gets. But
yeah. And it seems like the parents don't really have much to. I mean, they kind of let it go.
Yeah.
It's just treated as like normal sibling joshing, and normally it could be, but it's just kind of unfortunate when you, in light of like Tracy Gold, battled anorexia and missed some of the 7th season because of that. So
yeah, they have Ben, played by Jeremy Miller, who's the rambunctious youngest child. Youngest for a while. There was another kid later. But
yeah, there's a precocious daughter, Ashley,
yes,
who kind of joined, I guess, midway through, and then had a sudden growth spurt.
Yes,
that turned her into a precocious 5-year-old or something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course much later the Leonardo DiCaprio as the troubled teen they adopted, or at least fostered.
Yeah, Luke. Yeah, he was there in the last season, and I punished myself by watching some Luke episodes in preparation to get some context. But
God.
Now, one thing you mentioned, Jeremy Miller is Ben.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's kind of interesting is he's not the smartest kid in the family, or even like the most clever.
Yeah.
Which kind of breaks precedent in like a lot of these family sitcoms where the youngest kid is the sassiest.
Right.
And kind of like, if not the book smartest, the most precocious and the one with the best one-liners or something like that. And that's not really the case here.
No, he's sort of just obnoxious.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when he seems like when he tries to get some kind of hustle going, he's kind of incompetent at it, really. And there's not really anything exceptional about the character. No,
and I didn't watch any later episodes, but I remember him getting more and more unappealing the older he got.
Yeah.
It often happens.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, you start out as like the young kid, and then he gets pushed aside, and they bring in younger kids.
Yeah.
Then they bring in 2 younger kids. They have Leo and, this Ashley. So he didn't really have a strongly defined role, I think, by the end.
Yeah. And then Joanna Kearns as Mom, Maggie. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the great Alan Thicke.
Yes.
As Jason.
Yes, the patriarch of the Seaver family.
Yes. Now, just off the bat, the premise isn't just that it's a family, but it's a family with 2 professional parents. Mm-hmm. Maggie, I think at the beginning of the show, has gone back to work. Mm-hmm. And so she's a journalist. Mm-hmm. And Jason is a psychiatrist, and I guess has moved the practice into the house so that he can be there for the kids. And that seems like a very 80s premise.
Yeah, it does.
Especially the mom going back to work and having these cool jobs. And, And just the novelty of having both parents working and how that would change the family dynamic.
Yeah. We kind of take that for granted now. But back in the 80s, this was a pretty big deal to have 2 working parents. I mean, that was not the standard by any means back then in life, let alone on TV.
Yeah. And I was surprised that the guy that created this also created the Wonder Years.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just surprised because of the range of quality.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have been involved after the first season of this.
He also created Ellen.
Yeah. So are we saying one show might be a fluke?
Well, I'll say this too. The Wonder Years? I kind of wonder about the Wonder Years. And
yeah.
Well, like actually watching, I think the Growing Pains episodes we are not from the first season, but I was watching like the first episode, and I was actually knowing the Wonder Years in mind, but. They tried a few different things here and there, and maybe there's some of like that sense of experimentation, like with different camera angles and like and things, and just I could see a little bit more, but it's not like the comedy itself was not like really that sharp.
Yeah. And
if you watch the Wonder Years is a pretty basic show, I think. I don't know. I think if you go back and watch the Wonder Years, it's maybe a little bit of style over substance. Like I don't know if it was a show more about tone.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm thinking that maybe the Wonder Years isn't quite as I wouldn't revere the Wonder Years as much as maybe I thought it was good when it was on.
Right.
Like I'm not sure if that holds up as well, but its success is largely due to like the nostalgia and kind of like the framework of it as opposed to the actual like writing of it.
So like the subject matter might be very similar to that.
Yeah, I think like they're not necessarily
dealing with peer pressure or dealing with.
Yeah.
Obviously, the one of the through lines of that was him being in love with Winnie Cooper.
Right, and I think actually you hit on something very important there. You said like the guy pretty much left after the first season.
Yeah.
And I think the show changes throughout its run.
Yeah.
And we can kind of see that. I think it seems like. And I'm kind of speculating, although I'm thinking that maybe the show had a little Keaton family syndrome. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it was supposed to be more of an ensemble, and then it became like a Kirk Cameron show by the end of the run. And probably to the show's detriment. Like, they focus less and less on the parents and more on Kirk Cameron's character.
Yeah, which is because I think Joanna Kearns and Alan Thicke are good. Mm-hmm. They're kind of written as parents often are on this kind of show, and I think even sometimes the way they are on tween shows, which is, they can be grounded, but they can also be like totally kind of bonkers.
Right.
If they, in certain cases, and they seem to be able to play all of that. The kids were in the episodes I watched not so impressive.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cameron definitely, like, he seems to be. They want him to be in the Michael J. Fox, Jason Bateman world, and certainly of those three, maybe he could have pulled off Teen Wolf 3, but definitely not Teen Wolf 1. Or Teen Wolf 2.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's not as good as either of them.
Right.
And he has elements of both of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, they all look vaguely similar, but, you know, he's a little bit smarmy.
Yeah.
He's a little bit charming.
Yeah.
But he doesn't quite add up to any of those.
Yeah. Well,
at least in the first few seasons. Maybe later. And then, of course, you know, there's whatever, his outside life that keeps cropping up.
Yeah.
Like, he somehow is in the news every year for saying something stupid.
He tried to have a movie career and he didn't.
Yeah. That's right.
It flopped pretty quickly.
The body switching movie with Dudley Moore, was that him?
Oh, yes, he did the one with Dudley Moore, not the one with Judge Reinhold and Fred Savage.
Right, yeah.
That was vice versa. Yeah. And was it Like Father, Like Son, maybe? With Kirk Cameron?
That sounds right.
And he did one like Listen to Me with Jamie Gertz and Roy Scheider. That I think was more of a
serious
comic, maybe. But yes, I think it was more like a more of a dramatic role. Yeah, but I don't think either one of those had any traction. So
yeah, but he was a teen idol.
He was, and I think, quite frankly, I resented him for it. I never really watched this show, and I think part of the reason was I can remember like being like just annoyed at this Kirk Cameron character, and not even so much the character, but like with the marketing, like you could tell that they were pushing him as this big guy. And I'm like, what's the big deal about Kirk Cameron? And I kind of resented the fact that the show is built around this guy who just, I don't know, he did, you know, politics or anything that he's set aside, I just don't see him as a very appealing personality as a television performer, and the character just never appealed to me very much.
But he's got curly hair and big blue eyes and a great smile.
You know,
but I saw.
Would you like me to give you a moment here?
When I was sending you an email with a picture of him the other day, I saw a number of pictures, and one was like a sticker or a baseball card, and it said Hunkalicious, and I'm like, Hunk?
Yeah.
I understand the teen heartthrob thing. But there's nothing even in a teenager level that one would call hunky about him.
No, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
That's a bit much. I think they overshot a little bit with that one. And that's part of my problem. I mean, they were pushing him too hard, like in a role that he wasn't really suited for. Yeah. He was kind of more of a likable, like, I don't know, a little self-deluded. Yeah. And I think as the show went on, they downplayed the self-delusional thing and made him more of just, like a pure teen idol kind of guy. And, I just didn't find him that interesting, and never really got into the show.
I watched it for a while, but I'm not sure. I think when it was on Tuesdays, I probably watched it some. Like it was that and Who's the Boss and Moonlighting at some point. But then I was trying to look at where it moved to Wednesday at some point with like Head of the Class, so I might have watched it then. Yeah. But definitely not the whole thing. And I'm now watching it now, I'm like, why was that? Like a lot of shows we go back to and it's like, oh yeah, that still holds up. Other than really Alan Thicke.
Well,
I don't know why I would watch this.
Yeah, well hold that thought, because it seems like it was fairly popular at the time, and it's been a fixture on cable. For years. It was on Disney Channel. It was on Nick at Night for a while. It seems like it's been relatively popular, although it seems like there's other times where it doesn't really hold up. I think right now it's on Antenna TV is showing it, but it seems like it's kind of like a, maybe a B- and syndication, but it does seem remembered. Like I remember like episodes of it, but I don't remember like really watching the show on any kind of sustained basis. Yeah. But one positive thing I will say about the show is Alan Thicke. Yeah. And he was a bit of a figure of mockery in the Brooks household. And at times, when I was a little bit younger, my voice might have been a little different. I may have tried to do a little bit of Alan Thicke impersonations and kind of repeating dialogue he would say, and it was funny. We had some yucks out of it. Yeah. But now I'm kind of watching it. I'm surprised at how effective he is as the patriarch in this show. I think he's actually really good, and as much as I want to make fun of him for his acting, I can't. I think he's actually pretty good, and probably the best thing about the show. I think he is too. He's like a 80s Ward Cleaver kind of guy. Yeah. I mean, he's got, maybe just because his voice is deep, but he's got that gentle sort of gravitas. But yeah, maybe it's just because he's surrounded by kids who aren't. Wow. Ouch. No, I think he's good at it, and because he seems to
do the humor, but when they get serious, which
Yeah.
of course they do, he's good at dispensing advice. And
I think he's entirely credible.
Yeah.
As a father, and that I think really goes a long way. And I was pleasantly surprised by that. And I'm also surprised by your knowledge of teen heartthrobs, child acting, and baby blue eyes in this episode. We're getting some grounds for possible spin-offs of Battle of the Network shows. But
I think we've talked about Blue Eyes being a baddies category before. So,
well,
with our Mr. Good Eve.
Yes. Ooh. Okay, now I need a moment. I need to give myself a moment now that you mentioned Grant Goodeve. That's part of what it was. I mean, how can I appreciate Kirk Cameron when I was, if I'm comparing him to Grant Goodeve, who was then in reruns every day on TV.
Yeah.
Who needs Kirk Cameron? You got Grant Goodeve there. He's independent.
Another thing, very 80s thing, more so possibly than anything we've watched so far, is stereotypical 80s fashion.
Yeah.
You got the colorful sweaters.
Yeah.
You got the weird jackets that are somehow baggy and yet angular.
Right.
Some various frizzy hair.
Yeah.
Mike's buddy Eddie has a sort of proto mullet thing.
Yeah.
Ben has a weird haircut in the later season.
Right, and then
in the first episode we are going to talk about, Ben is wearing some sort of vest thing.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's like a vest, but it doesn't have an opening. I don't even know how. I mean, I guess you pull it on like a t-shirt, but it's over a t-shirt, but it's solid, and it has like if you actually put this members only strap button, snapped that, like a round collar. I don't know what that is. It's like bad Star Trek costume or something.
Right. And the party. Yeah. Forget about it. I mean, just so many people at the party. Which we can get into, but that's a good point. Yeah, it's very 80s with the fashion, the look of it. And speaking of the sweaters, I don't see a lot of information about the genesis of Growing Pains. Yeah. I'm assuming it's basically a reaction to the Cosby Show.
So this started in 85.
Yeah, so Cosby would have been like a year earlier, I think. So, I mean, I'm just assuming that it was like, okay, sitcoms are back, family sitcom, we need one.
Yeah.
Go, and Neil Marlins gave him one.
Right, because, and you got the professional parents, and
I mean, it seems
probably so, yeah.
I mean, you mentioned
and I mean, it's vaguely family ties.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. You mentioned Leave It to Beaver, and, maybe Father's Knows Best. It maybe harkens back to some of Ozzie and Harriet, those kind of things, but it seems like immediately I'm assuming it was like, okay, we need our Cosby Show, so let's get one.
I mean, Who's the Boss isn't. We included it, but it has, it's based on a British thing, I think, but it's, did it start the same year? It might have already been around.
Right about the same time. I'm not sure exactly,
But, I mean, it has elements that aren't family. I mean, it has the will they or won't they kind of thing.
Yeah, and kind of, and we're talking upper middle class, too, like the Cosbys and the Seavers, I'd say. I would put in, many, I mean, they're pretty much, I think they're in a pretty fancy suburban, upstate New York kind of.
I think Long Island.
Okay, Long Island, okay.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, they got a nice house, and they're doing okay.
And by the way, if I can digress again, Tracy Gold's New York accent, I don't remember that being as pronounced when I watched the show, but it really stands out.
I like that though. I mean, since they are in Long Island, someone might as well have an accent.
Right. It's to the point though that I'm surprised that they let her keep it.
Yeah.
Because you just don't, unless people call attention to it, you don't hear it, especially from a child actress. It's kind of unusual, I thought.
Yeah. Good point. But it did. Yeah, it stood out to me too.
It was her most distinctive thing because they don't really do a lot with the character in some of what I've seen. And I think in these episodes, I don't. She's just kind of there. She's kind of like the sassy. Yeah. She doesn't really get a lot of spotlight stuff. She's got that New York accent, very strong.
Right.
Which is funny because nobody else really does, right?
No.
I mean, Alan Thicke doesn't have a New York accent.
No, he has an Alan Thicke accent.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know where the other actors are from. But I guess we could have looked that up. But
right. Well,
I didn't know it was going to come up. So.
No. Yeah, I ambushed us with this.
Yes.
If it's not about a teen heartthrob, I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Alan Thicke, of course, is from Canada.
Yes. Coming off Thick of the Night.
Yes.
Yet one of the many attempts to at least get a piece of that, if not dethrone Johnny Carson, take a little piece of that pie.
That's something we need to see if we can find.
Thick of the Night?
Yeah.
There's footage out there, but I'd like to get some full episodes. But we should look into that.
Oh, maybe before we get into it, we could talk about the theme song.
Good. Yes, let's talk about the theme song.
Written by Steve Dorff, writer of many theme songs.
And
sung, I think, always by B.J. Thomas, but apparently they're various. First season is just him. Mm-hmm. And most of the other seasons, him and Jennifer Warnes.
Yeah.
But then there's a season where it's him and Dusty Springfield.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah, which was a single.
Yeah, oh.
And
then they bring Jennifer Warnes back.
Yeah, and then apparently there's an a cappella version.
Yes, I heard that, and it's an abomination. It really is. It's terrible, and it's a good. I think the evolution of the song is a good example of how the show got declined a little bit over the years. It starts out as like a basic family sitcom, and they keep adding bells and whistles. Yeah. And the inability to leave the theme song alone, I think, is indicative of that.
Interesting.
I personally, I'll just say, I think that the theme song is actually pretty decent the first season, and B.J. Thomas he's doing his thing, and it's perfect. And there was no need to add anybody, even Grammy Award-winning Jennifer Warnes, Joe Cocker duet partner. You know, it's just not necessary. It's like adding all these layers and like echoing the lines and stuff, and it's too much.
There's a lot of saxophone in it. I think it's a pretty good theme song.
Yeah.
It's good. Now the first season credit sequence are totally ripping off Cheers. Like they're doing the old pictures and the stuff. I mean, they're not as sophisticated,
right?
But they're totally doing that. And then after that, they'll show pictures of all the actors at different ages, which
is one of my pet peeves. Usually a sign that a show's been on too long when they have to do that. But in this case, I guess they did it pretty early.
Like in season 2.
Yeah. Like, okay, let's just get this out of the way. Yeah. We're going to show the evolution of our actors, of the kids and the characters.
And there's a thing at the end where they're in front of the house and they all run in, but one person stays behind.
Yeah.
Now, I read that it changes, like there are versions with each of them running in, and it's usually the person who the episode's about.
Oh, really? Is that
That's what I read.
I did not notice that.
The two that we are going to talk about both had Alan Thicke run in.
Okay.
And he was not the primary character of either of them.
I thought it was like a seasonal thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I noticed, okay, we're going to have to investigate that. And there's usually some kind of like take, right, where they hesitate and then like they stay behind and like kind of linger and look at the camera and then like turn around and run back.
Right,
you know, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I know that at least when I saw Carol do it, and I think Ben did it once, but I don't remember.
I mean, you got to assume Mike did it.
Yeah. Is it true that the Simpsons stole their couch gag routine from this?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm
Absolutely.
glad you cleared that up.
Yeah. I know that for a fact. The Comic-Con, I asked.
Yeah.
I asked that question of the Simpsons person.
Of the Simpsons.
Of the Simpsons. They were there.
Yeah, and the Simpsons confirmed
that
you were correct with that.
Yeah. Although, Bart told me to eat my shorts.
Okay. Well, yeah. It was a little irreverent of you to bring that up.
But before we leave the theme song, I told you off air that I got something special involving one of our shows. Oh. And I would like to show this to you now.
Please do.
I have not opened this yet.
I have not seen this, folks. I have no knowledge of this. Oh, wow. Folks, this is amazing. I'm holding a compact disc. Would you like me to describe my... Okay.
The front first. Yeah.
It's Growing Pains by Steve Dorff and Friends. The theme from the Growing Pains and other hit TV themes.
Yeah.
And there's a sticker on the CD front that says "Hit 80s TV Themes from Steven Dorff" with an exclamation mark. So there's more than just Growing Pains on there, and there's a picture of the cast. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what. Maybe you know what year this came out.
Well, I'm not sure. This version at least came out in 2008.
Okay,
but I think it's a reissue. Okay. Yeah, it looks like a reissue.
Yeah, okay.
But it does have liner notes.
It's from the Collector's Choice Music label, who I think has done like reissues of that sounds familiar. Mm. And like there's a little inset picture of the Growing Pains cast, and they're looking, the original cast, and it's an odd picture, but it's got Mike at the front. It's almost like they're making a little pyramid, and Mike is lounging with a little, hey, I'm Mike, kind of wearing a sweater and just kind of doing the old if he was posing for like a Playgirl or something with clothes on. He's got the exact pose. I think it's the same pose that Burt Reynolds used in the 70s.
Cosmo?
Except yes, Kirk Cameron has clothes on. And it really positions him as the star of the show. And Ben is not even looking at the camera, which makes him look all the more out of place. That's kind of bizarre. And yeah, this is fascinating. So
now, I'll read the titles of things, and I'm gonna review this on the website, I think.
Oh, excellent.
And then possibly, depending on how I feel about it, maybe we'll run some sort of contest and give it away to one of our fans.
Ooh, nice. This is like a brand new CD here.
Yes, from Amazon. But it was the last copy. I thought about buying 2.
Okay.
But then there was only 1, at least from that vendor.
Right.
So you have the Growing Pains theme, As Long as We Got Each Other, by Dorf/Bettis. The Spencer for Hire theme.
Ooh.
Which is also one of the reasons I bought this.
Wow.
Because it's a cool theme song. My Sister Sam theme.
Whoa,
Room
My
Enough for
Sister
Two.
Sam by Kim Carnes.
Ah.
I remember that one. That was one of my favorites in the 80s.
The Murphy Brown Suite. Like the Whole World's Watching. Also by Dorf and Bettis. FYI, which I assume is also a Murphy Brown.
Oh, that was like the name of the news magazine on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Then you have another Growing Pains thing from the episode Aloha, Swept Away. And from Graduation Day, This Is the Day. Oh, by the way, Swept Away is written by Dorf, Bettis, and Cross.
Oh.
It is that Cross. I know it's that Cross.
It is?
Yes. I did read that.
Wow.
So I believe there's some Christopher Cross on here.
Oh, beautiful.
Supposedly there's some Kenny Rogers.
Huh.
And you already mentioned Kim Carnes. There's a theme from The Oldest Rookie. I don't remember. I
Don't
know that show existed, but I don't remember what the deal was.
Okay, we'll have to look that up.
The theme from Just the 10 of Us.
Okay. The spin-off.
Spin-off from Growing Pains. Oddly, it's called Just the 6 of Us / Doing It the Best I Can. And Stephen Dorff did not write this.
Huh. I guess
maybe
Friends wrote that?
Kibble and Warren.
Kibble and Warren?
Yeah. You know Kibble and Warren.
Ah, okay.
Famous for their dog food.
Yeah, the dog food
themes. Yeah. Watley by the Bay theme.
Watley by the Bay.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. And then a medley, the Every Which Way But Loose theme, I Just Fall in Love Again, and Through the Years. Oh, there's your Kenny Rogers,
Okay, there's
right?
Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
I don't know what I Just Fall in Love Again is.
I don't either. So, anyway, I'm excited to listen to this.
Yeah, I'm excited to...
And it has liner notes by Brian Chin, so...
Ooh, noted TV music historian.
Yes. It's going to be full of information.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Boy, you're right about that Kirk Cameron post.
Yeah, isn't it? That's very bizarre.
It is.
I mean, it'd be one thing in the context of a family photo, too. It's
yeah.
like,
who would pose your family like that?
Yeah, you take your kids down to J.C. Penney Portrait Studio, and the photographer suggests, hey, why don't we get your oldest kid here? Why don't you do like a little sexy pose, kind of recline and...
Hey, daughter, why don't you lean on his propped up leg there?
Yeah.
Yeah, drape your hand over his knee.
Yeah, hey,
yeah, brat.
Yeah.
Look at a spot on the floor behind him.
Yeah.
We'll stick the parents back there somewhere.
Hey, kid, come on, flash those baby blue... No, not you, the other one. You can just look over there. This is an interesting family portrait, I would say.
Is. Yeah, we'll definitely...
That's a true find. Congratulations, you surprised me in a very good way. And yeah, I'm excited. And so it's the original recordings of these? Or is
I believe the theme song is the Dusty Springfield version.
Okay.
But I think they're original recordings. Okay. I hope so.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's disappointing about TV soundtracks.
Yeah. Over the years, they
get a
really let us down.
Yeah.
Well, I did like the first season, and I think the changing the theme song mirrors kind of how I feel the show. I think the show probably declined from the first season, but and like little things like the incidental music. Yeah. Like as the show goes on, I noticed like there's more emphasis on Mike, and the plots get a little more cartoony, and there's more like it's less subtle. Like there's more like blatant like musical cues seem to be a little bit more obvious. But that's just my take on the show. Yeah. I think the theme song, it kind of starts with the theme song. Really, they should have left well enough alone.
I do feel like the kids get a little more competent. Like in the second and third season.
Like as actors. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the first season, I think I only watched the one episode from that, but it was a little rougher. Yeah. But we should probably
let's get into our specific episodes, huh?
Yeah.
So we've kind of tried to generally avoided some of these, but we did look at a very special episode this time. Yeah. I think it was apropos because Growing Pains, I think, maybe has a reputation of delving into that a lot. You mentioned like homelessness, and they did kind of get into some very special episodes. Yeah. Maybe not as many as you might think.
No, like the episode descriptions did not. Yeah. Most of them didn't look particularly special, but
Didn't look particularly special.
Or very special. You know, they
Right.
look more typical. But yeah, and I believe this is one. I know there's one friend of ours told me about. Maybe both of us about.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I've.
And luckily, it had the thing in particular she mentioned at the end.
Yes.
So
which is
I was
classic.
really excited.
Yeah.
It showed up.
This is a very entertaining episode. So the first one we talked about is called "Thank God It's Friday."
Yeah.
Aired February 10th, 1987, and it's season 2, episode 15. And it was up against Matlock on NBC. And so ABC, as you made a reference earlier, it followed Who's the Boss and preceded Moonlighting at 9. And there was some kind of Carol Burnett special this particular night. I think some kind of short-run Carol Burnett thing they had at the time. And CBS had, it was difficult to track. I think maybe it was West 57th that was on against it. So not really prime competition for like the younger crowd.
Right,
It seems like this is very like split night of demographics. I mean,
There was at least one season where they were up against the A-Team.
Growing Pains was?
Yeah. Maybe the first season.
Now that seems more like...
Because I know I didn't watch it immediately, so
Yeah.
maybe I was still watching A-Team, although
well, I think...
A-Team was already on the downward slide.
That makes sense, because I think this might have been like the highest rated. You happen to know, like, Growing Pains like peaked maybe like in the second and third seasons. And,
Yeah.
And took a while to build up, and maybe that would be why once they got away from the A-Team. But yeah, it is a very special episode, and it centers around one of our other favorite things to talk about the 1980s.
Cocaine.
Yeah, cocaine and preppies.
Oh, yeah, that's
Like
right.
arrogant college preppies.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to enjoy about this episode, I think.
Yeah.
But like the main premise is Mike and the boys. And we haven't mentioned.
No.
There's a lot of tragedy involved with this show.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have to. I think we should address the fact that the character or the actor that played Boner,
Right.
committed suicide about 10 years ago. I think.
Yeah. Which is sad, of course. But how did they get away with this?
You know, I'm wondering the same thing. How did a family show?
Because certainly when this started airing, that was the prime era for me of kids saying boner.
Yeah. This is Pete Boner.
Right. Yeah, in more than ways than one. And, it was a bad word.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Certainly inappropriate. And
I mean, it's his based on the kid's character's last name, and he is a doofus. But
DeBone, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in the 60s, when the phrase pulling a boner was more well known and more used. But by this time, yes, we can testify that there was pretty much one definition for this word. It wasn't, Merkel's boner was like a famous baseball play. But by the 80s, if you bring that up, you're laughing about it because you're saying boner.
Yeah.
So it's a good point. Like, how do they have a regular character with this name and constantly calling him? And
Yeah. They never call him anything.
right. It's boner this, boner that.
Yeah. Parents call him boner.
Yeah. Alan Thicke calls him boner, which is kind of funny, actually, when he says it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they got away with this. It seems ridiculous. It doesn't, it doesn't, like, offend me, really, but it seems weird.
Yeah.
I don't...
No, it doesn't offend me.
It's questionable...
What's going on here?
It's questionable judgment.
Yeah. Right. Maybe the Wonder Years, it would have been more appropriate.
Yeah.
Because it still just meant a dumb move or
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to picture Daniel Stern talking about that and how this was years before it became a thing,
Yes.
Back then, a guy could commit a boner without being ridiculed for... there should be some wistful thing,
And we had another term for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't talk about that and then the sexual revolution was it was only going to happen in a few years.
Right. It would tie into something. Although there might be something sad too, like the kid that was nicknamed Boner would like be killed in Vietnam or something like that. And
Right, yeah.
that word never had the same meaning to me. Years later, when my own kids used it as a pejorative, I thought back to Randy, the kid we called Boner. Cue end music. Told myself I wasn't going to do it, and I'm kind of laughing about it now. So maybe we're just not mature enough for a character named Boner.
I think so, yeah.
We just don't get growing pains.
No.
I'm sure they had something else going on here, and thought it made the character more accessible.
Right.
Just more happy-go-lucky.
Yeah. I wonder if teachers called him that. Probably not.
I
bet that coach from Just the Ten of Us didn't call him that.
No, I'd like to think that they would make a point of saying, Mr. DeBone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody, oh, Mr. DeBone, like everybody else laughing because they're calling him that.
Oh, coach.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Mike and Eddie and Boner are going to go hang out. It's Friday night. You're going to go have some fun. Meanwhile, the rest of the family ends up stuck at home together.
Yeah, there was
Carol's boyfriend got grounded. Mm-hmm. Maggie forgot that it was date night. Mm-hmm. And so they're just going to hang out, watch some TV, eat some TV dinners. Then the babysitter shows up because they tried to cancel and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And she's not old enough to... That was kind of amusing.
Yeah.
She's not old enough to be at home alone.
Yeah, and her parents had plans, so she had to stay over with the Seavers.
Yeah. So, and pretty much Ben is in charge of what's going to, what they're watching. And that's a side thing. It doesn't really... They're watching Miami Vice.
Watching, which is that's kind of funny.
At first I thought it was Knight Rider based on the music, but then he starts talking about weight. And
yeah, I mean, they don't specifically say it, but it's clearly meant to be Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Which is appropriate, and it's they're all sitting there watching it, and I think Maggie comes in and tries to suggest they watch like Cinderella or something, like a Disney movie or something, and they all groan or whatever, but they're all kind of sitting there, and it's just maybe it's a little bit of wry commentary.
Yeah.
That Miami Vice was not always a 10 o'clock show, but like just the idea of a family sitting around watching Miami Vice is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Hey, I did. My dad and I watched it.
There you go. It does make them seem like a normal family, more than a TV family, a little bit. Just so they would sit around and watch TV together at all. Yeah, yeah, that's an amusing side story. Yeah, you got to fill some
and
time.
I think coming back to what we'll talk about in a bit, it's a little bit of commentary. It shows how pervasive cocaine was in the culture, in popular culture, especially like in 1985. This was I'm gonna go out on a limb. Maybe it wasn't just peak boner; it was also peak cocaine. But we'll see. Yeah, that's up for debate.
But we see Eddie and Mike and Boner at a pizza joint trying to come up with something to do.
Yeah, a kind of nice 1980s pizza parlor. Yeah, it just seemed like things were different then, and I don't know if you could see it or if there was one there, but I'm kind of thinking there should have been like a Pac-Man machine somewhere in the back there, even in 1985.
There might have been an arcade machine.
Yeah, there must have been something like there in the background.
And also, a fairly realistic thing when you're a teenager. Yeah, I'm going to go out and do stuff, and then you just sit around trying to think of something to do. Right. So, and they come up with a few ideas. Eddie suggests bowl your brains out for 99 cents, and they've done that before. Boner suggests I don't know what the organization was, a youth organization or a church or something, but they're having a combination mixer and fish fry. Mm-hmm. That doesn't go anywhere then. No. Mike suggests parking near a drive-in and lip reading the movie.
That's an interesting idea.
And they're not into that until he tells them it's Swedish. Yeah. And then, apparently they're doing like Swedish accents there, according to the captions. They were doing mock Swedish accents.
Yeah, it seemed more...
It seemed more like just, oh.
Yeah, but, I mean, for the joke, maybe whoever did the captioning was kind of anticipating a joke that didn't come. Right.
But then later they kind of do.
Yeah.
So I think maybe I don't know. And well, we've talked about Swedes.
Yes. We have? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lou Grant.
We've talked about Sweden.
Yeah.
Swedish kind means... ominous the way you said it.
Swedish means something else here. Yeah.
Yes. We talked about our wonderful Swedish audience.
Yeah. I think we have had a few Swedish downloads.
Benson didn't win the poll a couple of seasons ago, but it will come back, and we will get Inga Swenson on there and Krause.
Then they run into this preppy.
Yeah.
Roland Taylor.
Roland, yeah. I love this guy, Roland. I mean... He was not totally like a villain, but he totally could have been the bad guy in like an 80s teen,
totally
against the establishment movie with him, of course, representing the establishment, right?
Yeah. So he's buying a bunch of pizzas, and he's an alum of their high school, but he doesn't know. He talks to Mike, and he's not talking down to him yet.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, he is a kind of a tall guy, but
he's indulging them.
Yeah, but he's a pretty boy.
Yeah.
He's and he's getting 8 pizzas for this party, and
yeah,
parents are out of town party.
And again, delivery wasn't as big a thing back then.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to run out. Maybe it seems like he seems almost like too cool a guy to be going on a pizza run by himself. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, maybe he was on his way there.
Yeah. Okay.
They just called him up.
Yeah. He just put it on his parents' plastic.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Actually, he does pay cash though.
Oh.
Because
well, he's got a lot. He's got to have cash around for other things.
That's true.
And maybe it was on the way. It was in between, the party and the dealer.
The pickup, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the pizza place is a front.
Well,
maybe there was a vial in every every box.
Well,
I'll have 8 pizzas, eight pies.
Yeah, that was a code.
Yeah.
With everything. I just remember kind of being amused because I forget what the exact amount was, but it's like $75. And he gives her $80 and says, "Keep the change," like he's a real big shot.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's right.
Okay. Now, granted, maybe there's a debate over whether you leave a tip on pickup, like carry out.
Yeah.
So if he's making a statement there, and which I'm fully in favor of, stamping out this growing trend towards encouraging tips for just going into a restaurant and picking up food that you order on the phone.
Yeah.
Then I'm in favor of that. I got the impression that he was trying to be a big shot, and I was like, that wasn't really much of a big tip there, Roland.
That's like a 5% tip?
Yeah, it was less than that.
Less than that.
If my memory is correct, it was a paltry tip, maybe like 4% maybe.
Yeah.
So, not that impressive. But the girl at the counter seemed, appreciative.
Well, he is Roland Taylor.
Yeah, that's true. And just the attention from Roland, I'm sure, made her appreciative.
Yeah. So that's less than $10 a pizza, though.
That's, well, you know what? For back then, I'm not sure that's a great deal.
Well, if it has cocaine with it.
Oh, well, yeah. There you go. I bet they get plenty of repeat business, too, at that pizza parlor.
On the other hand, I'm sure Roland Taylor really doesn't care.
No.
He's not comparing pizza prices.
No, he's not. That's right. Money's no object.
Yeah. Now, the guys, at first, they're like, that's nice. And then they realize, a party. We could go to a party.
Yeah. So
they do grovel
to
go to the party. Like he says, are you actually begging or groveling?
Yeah.
And then they do.
Yeah. Like, they really do. So they have no shame.
So they go, and it's this big house, and there's pizza, and there's drinks, and there's girls, just like he promised. Turns out it's not his house. He doesn't even know whose house it is.
No, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, which made me think he was throwing the party in someone else's house, but later we learned.
Yeah.
Whose house it is.
Yeah, I assumed it was his party.
Yeah.
At first, and it was at his place, too. But
right.
Not the case, like you say.
There's some girl there they recognize, Lana, from some other high school. I forget what the deal was with her exactly, but they're all sort of hot for her.
Right.
I mean, they are all just horny teenagers.
Yeah, they're hot for everybody, but her especially because they know her.
And then Boner says he has to go to the bathroom, and while he's waiting in line, 2 people come out at the same time, and then 4 or 5 people go in.
Yeah.
And he's confused by this, and he tells the guys, rich people go to the bathroom together, and they all seem to think that's what's going on.
Yeah.
It's just like Mike says something like, "You didn't know that," or something like.
Yeah, like well, duh.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But that's not what's going on.
No.
So there's a blonde girl played by Christy Swanson. Mike ends up talking to her, and she seems to be into him. And then, we've already suggested what's going to happen, but she holds up a little vial of cocaine and, offers him some. And first she asks if he wants to go to the bathroom with her. Yeah. And he's uncomfortable with that. And she's like, because she thinks he's worried that she's going to steal his stash.
Yeah, his stash.
But no, it's her treat.
Right. Yeah.
And then she says, "You're cool, aren't you?"
Yeah. And Mike's conflicted right away, but he's leaning no.
He is leaning no. I
don't think there's ever really a point where you think that he's actually going to do it. He's clearly like.
Yeah.
He's more anguished that he has to say no than anguished that he's going to maybe say yes.
I think so. Yeah. But he is a troublemaker, so maybe. I don't know. Maybe was there an episode where he drank?
I'm sure there was.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, he didn't seem bothered by the drinks there.
Yeah.
But he does run into that Lana girl while... Lana brings... So it turns out this is the Chrissy Rhonda, her character's... her parents' house. Mm-hmm. Or her house. and her parents have called, so she has to go talk to them. And Lana's like, or Mike tells Lana, "Don't freak, but this is a cocaine party."
Yeah.
And she laughs and.
Didn't she like? Well, I certainly hope so, or something like that.
So, and then he goes and tells the guys, and awkwardly says, "Now we're not really interested in cocaine, are we?" Eddie retorts, "A lot of cool people use cocaine." I wish he'd given examples.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he really should have made his point better by illustrating it with some specifics.
Yeah. Half the Mets use cocaine.
Yeah. And just put like some weird name in there, like Dan Rather, you know. And then you could even do it as a punchline or whatever. Like they look at Dan Rather, like I hear things, you know, or something.
So my dad said.
Yeah.
But Eddie and Boner seem a little more down with this idea.
Yeah, they're willing to consider it. They just want to be with the girls.
And part of it because they don't want to look like weenies.
A word that comes up a lot on Growing Pains, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I can understand. You don't want to look like a weenie.
No, didn't want to look like a weenie.
And then a bunch of other kids from their school show up.
Yeah.
Which just puts more pressure on them.
Yeah, they say, nobody will even know or recognize us here, you know. And then Roland brings in like, hey, I just found out like these guys are from.
Yeah.
And, like gives them like a loud introduction, basically.
Right, and some girls, hey, Mike.
Yeah. So well, it's a dilemma.
Yeah.
And Mike wants to leave.
He does.
He doesn't want any part of this. And even though all the girls are getting ready to go to the hot tub.
Yep, where Chrissy Swanson's character comes back. She says they can all go for a group toot.
Yeah.
She also says that the cocaine is her parents.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that an interesting detail?
More social commentary.
Yes.
More social commentary. Like, where do you kids get it from? They learn it from you. They learn it from watching you.
I know that PSA.
Yes.
Was that about? No, that was about like yelling or something.
It was about drugs.
It was about drugs.
Kids, parents who have drugs have children who use drugs.
Yeah. Mike finally has to admit in front of this whole party that has never done coke. He doesn't want to do coke, and everybody laughs at him.
Yeah. Now earlier, in fairness to her, he had said when she realized it's his first time, she does offer to be gentle.
Right.
She's willing to like indoctrinate him, and so that's actually surprisingly gracious of her. I mean, she seems genuinely. I give Mike some credit because she does seem genuinely interested in kind of having a good time with him and open to hanging out with him. So
that's true. Till he says no.
Yeah, but so Mike has to make that declaration. Yeah. He denounces the whole scene.
So he leaves. Eddie and Boner stay. Mm-hmm. Boner seems confused.
Yeah, well, there's a dramatic moment, yes, where I like this part where Mike's asking them, kind of having them make a choice, and Boner says. It kind of awkwardly. Yeah. Like, it's a weird... Hey, friends don't make friends do something they don't want to do, Mike. And Mike's exactly. Yeah. And then walks out. And it's like, Boner's saying that, I kind of see what they're going for, but it was a little contrived.
It is, and it's interesting because Mike is trying to use peer pressure to get them to not use drugs.
That's true. That's right.
Oh, which I guess is, it is an effective method.
Yeah. He's saying that, they came there together. They, they're friends. They don't need this. And
right.
Really kind of trying to play up on the fact that they're friends and they need to stick together on this.
Yeah. And they've been friends since kindergarten or first grade or something. Yeah. But he goes home and he gets home late. He was supposed to be home at 1 and it's like 2:15.
Yeah.
But of course, Jason waited up for him. And then, they have a big heart-to-heart about this.
Yeah. It takes a while for Mike to get to it. He isn't. Yeah. He's clearly stressed.
And part of it is like Jason's kind of amped up too. Yeah. And like
amped up, you say?
On ice cream.
Okay, yeah. Jason, played by Alan Thicke, who is a celebrity and had a music background and comedy and amped up, you say, in the 80s. Okay, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
He's keyed up.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I got you.
He's like, what did you do now? What excuse do you have now? And he's not listening. And Mike's kind of like, he's crying a little bit.
Yeah.
He wants. It's like a legal situation.
Yeah.
He wants assurances that when he tells Jason this, it won't incriminate him.
Right. He wants to talk as a friend. Not as a father.
Yeah.
Can I tell you this as a friend?
Right.
What happened? And Jason just wants to know. He realizes something's wrong. And he just kind of like just get to it.
Yeah.
He makes no such claim as I recall. I mean, or does he?
Right.
Yeah. He doesn't really say like, okay, tell me. He just kind of like keeps that. Just tell me what happened.
Yeah. And so Mike tells him, and what is his reaction?
Jason's.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Mike says, "Dad, there was cocaine at that party." Cocaine, and then like, yeah, and he kind of goes on, cocaine. He just says it like
There's like he says it like twice, definitely, like right away.
Yeah.
And then there's like a third, like cocaine.
Yeah, like he
To
still
himself.
can't get past it. Like this exasperation, just this look in his face, like totally helpless. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, he can't even like really listen to Mike because
Right.
he's got to process that first.
Yeah.
Ah, man, that was a big moment. Big moment.
And he's contemplating. He wants to find out where the party is.
Yeah. What was the address, Mike?
Cocaine.
I was sitting here watching Cinderella.
Miami Vice got me worked up.
Yeah.
I thought Kirk Cameron was pretty good in this scene.
Yeah.
The writing was pretty decent in terms of like that. Like Mike's reaction to all this is more. It's not just like he was around something that made him uncomfortable, but it's like all that he didn't know what to do, and the embarrassment aspect.
Yeah.
Like it's a complicated thing for him.
Right. It's like he wanted to do the right thing, but he just feels terrible because he's humiliated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason says, "You're never going to please everybody," and Mike says, "Tonight I didn't please anybody." Jason says, "Except yourself."
Yeah. Well,
it's a little bit of a weird exchange, but
and Mike's like, well, actually, when I go upstairs
Yes.
in a minute and think about the missed opportunities at the party,
right,
I will.
Yeah.
But for now, no.
Ah, jeez, Mike. We might have to put an adult rating on this episode.
This is some mature themes in this.
Yes, drugs and boners and.
I would recommend that our 2 to 11-year-old demographic might steer clear of this one, or at least with parental guidance.
Yes, listen
parental
to the
guidance
parent.
is suggested.
But they have a good conversation, a good hug, and then Jason has some good news. Eddie and Boner called. They said they didn't go to the bathroom and they don't want to. He does ask what that means.
Yeah, what does that mean?
And Mike, it's like an episode of Lost.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Mike? I forget what he said.
He just said a lot.
A lot, yeah.
And then he gets this big smile and walks out. Sprints up the stairs like all with a pep in his step now.
And then Jason, what a world.
Yeah.
And he
yeah.
delicately locks the chain, just the slide chain lock on his front door.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand that. I mean, it wasn't like Mike got mugged or something.
Well, it was, and
it's like he's afraid.
It's like in his way up to on his way before he goes upstairs, he kind of like he forgot to lock the door. He's like, oh, I better lock up. And what a world! And they do a close up of kind of like that little lock there. Yeah,
right.
Definitely like linking cocaine with like general burglary and crime.
The world becoming a place you can't lock your door.
Yeah. Yes. Very vulnerable. Jason feels very vulnerable at this moment.
Right.
What a world. And it didn't have the typical. It's a very dramatic like ending too. Like just to that part of the episode.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have the usual.
Da, 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 da,
yeah.
Da, da,
yeah. It's that moment of drama, clearly.
Right.
But the best is.
Yes.
The best is ready to begin, as
right.
B.J. Thomas tells us.
We go back to the party.
Yeah. In full swing, apparently.
Full swing. Eddie and Boner are there.
Yeah.
Still plenty of hors d'oeuvres and punch.
Yeah. That's right.
And everybody's there, and then they just freeze.
Yeah.
And Mike walks on screen. Only it's not Mike. Because a big graphic comes up to tell us it's Kirk Cameron.
Right.
And he looks directly at us.
Yeah.
And he has a message.
Yes, as everybody in the background stares at us.
Yes. Creepily.
Yeah.
I think, doesn't he kind of like sit on the table?
Yes. Yeah, kind of like that. Look, I'm just addressing it. It's just me and you.
Yeah.
He kind of does that, does that little move of sitting on the table to get his message.
And, listen, people might tell you that it's cool to use cocaine.
Yeah.
But he's here to tell you something different.
Yeah.
And he's not getting paid to tell you this.
Yeah, that's...
He believes it. Cocaine can hurt you. It's bad for you.
Right.
And if you think he's not cool because he thinks that, you're wrong.
Yeah. And that's it.
That's it.
That was
It was really more about him explaining why he's cool.
Yes. Your distillation of his message was excellent, but the message itself, the speech was a real letdown. That was a terrible closer. I mean, if like he builds up like if you think and then just says you're wrong.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like what? That's it? You're wrong?
Right.
Okay. No clever rhetorical turn of phrase that would drive that point home.
Yeah.
Just you're wrong.
They
nuh-uh.
never get into the details of how cocaine can hurt you.
No, they don't.
Not even in the show.
Yeah, they don't talk about, people die from that. Or
addiction and heart attacks. And
right, deviated septums.
Exactly, yeah. Sniffles.
Yeah.
Whatever else, yeah.
Erratic behavior on set, failed talk shows. Just saying.
Yeah. Missing weekends.
Yeah. But my favorite, though, is when he says, I'm not getting paid to say this.
Yeah.
Like, kind of in the middle of it, he says,
right. Like, this was my idea.
Yeah. Like, everybody's at home like, this guy's getting paid to say this. But he reassured us, no, he's not getting paid to say this, so we know it's real.
Yeah. That's why they had to put Kirk up there, too.
Yeah.
So we knew it was a real guy. It wasn't Mike.
Right.
It wasn't that dummy Mike.
Right. He's looking with those baby blues, and he does have a very sincere look on his face. And we're kind of laughing at a little bit because it is kind of humorous.
Yeah.
Very humorous, I would say. But he seems sincere to me. I mean, I think he did it and committed to it, and and didn't do a wink or try to act like he's above it or something like that.
And and based on what we know about his life, it is probably true.
Yeah. Although now he
might have had a period.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't
know either. That's pure speculation.
But I mean, I think this, even when he was on the show, he was open about being Christian and all.
Right. And I think talking about the storylines and.
Yeah.
I probably on my power rankings of cast members most likely to have indulged in cocaine, he would probably be down at the bottom. I think.
Ben.
Yeah.
This is the top.
Well.
No, wait.
Top has got to be Alan Thicke.
Okay.
He's the late Alan Thicke.
Yeah.
But come on, right?
Yeah.
Two's got to be Joanna Kearns just because of her being like a working celebrity in that age, in that era. I mean, maybe not being a mom on a show, but before that, she was in Hollywood. So and then probably Tracy Gold had a history of But man, that says something there when Ben who would be the natural first choice, of course, in any other scenario, is number 4. I mean, come on.
Yeah, wild times.
I've got to look up the actor that played Roland because he totally seems like a guy that would.
I don't know.
Not necessarily him, but the character.
Yeah, I don't know if he did much.
No, but he made an impression. I just want to mention one of my favorite parts about this episode is the fact that apparently and the whole doing lines in the bathroom, but yet. The girls are going to go out to a hot tub. I mean, there's a huge house.
Yeah.
This whole implication, everybody gets annoyed when there's a line at or somebody prevents them. Like the only place you can do this in a party where it's openly everybody's caring is in that one bathroom.
It's a cocaine party.
Yeah, it's like there's one particular mirror or something like that. They've got some kind of thing laid out with spoons and everything. Oh no, everything's got to be in this one bathroom.
Right.
It was necessary simplification for TV, I guess.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford to give it the nuance of Miami Vice.
And they probably couldn't show anyone actually doing that.
No, I guess not.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
But yeah, that does seem weird.
Yeah, that was one thing that didn't ring true with me.
Maybe that's just part of the Long Island college kid cocaine ritual. Yeah, you only do cocaine in bathrooms.
Could be.
But there are more. There's got to be more than one bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe no one is allowed upstairs or something.
Could be. Although there were a couple of people coming and going, it seemed like, from upstairs. But I don't know. That seems like a good TV movie, by the way. The Long Island teen cocaine ritual.
Starring Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, they could have done
Tracy Gold.
Right.
Any actress with a New York accent.
And Ed O'Neill is like an angry father, just before Married with Children or something.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
It was my Ed O'Neill. Might have been closer to an Alan Thicke than Ed O'Neill.
Yeah. So I actually enjoyed this episode.
I did. Maybe not.
It's a good, very special episode.
Yeah.
And if we consider it in the context of what it was trying to accomplish, what do you think about that? I don't remember watching this as a kid. I think I remember being aware that they did an episode like this, but I don't remember really watching it now. I was not quite in the cocaine demographic at the time.
No, I definitely bought full into the Just Say No to Drugs campaign. So I probably, if I did see this, was totally on board with it. Or it reinforced everything I was already thinking. So I was 13. So I wasn't being exposed to any of this stuff yet.
Do you think that this would have done more harm than good? Or do you think nowadays we might laugh at it? Do you think that it did good for what it was trying to do? Is warn kids of the dangers of drugs?
Probably. I mean, or the kids that are home on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Really, the kind of kids who are going to do drugs anyway.
Yeah, I think maybe. Well, maybe it's. I guess the theory would be start them out young, and maybe some people would say, well, why even tell them about it? But the whole just say no to drugs. I mean, Nancy Reagan was on different strokes, right?
Yeah.
So maybe get them young. And, although, like you make a good point, it's not so much about the dangers of doing drugs, but the encouraging people to stand up to peer pressure and say it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
Not.
Now, I don't know if someone was like saw it when they were 12 or 13, and then they were 16 and got in this situation. This reminds me of that episode of Growing Pains.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
When I was in college, one time I was at a party and I was sitting with this guy, a friend, and he offered me some cocaine. I just politely said no, but I didn't think of I didn't think of anything. I was just like, I knew I didn't want to do it.
Right.
But there was no pressure. He just
being sociable.
He was gonna do some coke. He was friendly. So.
But did you go cocaine?
Cocaine in my head, maybe. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Huh, there you go.
And that's the only time I've been exposed to that in any way. But as far as I know, I'm sure I've probably been around someone who was on something. But only time I was in the vicinity of it, as far as I know. Yeah.
Battle of the Network Shows has an official anti-drug policy.
Yes.
Does it? Yeah, we do.
Drug testing, mandatory drug testing.
Yes. We do not condone illegal activities.
No.
Except as they pertain to copyrighted material that would improve the podcast through their watching of.
Which is just for research purposes.
Yes, of course.
We're not distributing it.
Right. Right. We're not dealing.
Yeah. So I guess we should talk about this other episode.
Yeah, let's get to the other episode.
We said we were going to.
Yes. This Is Your Life, Season 3, Episode 10 from November 17th, 1987. So the next season, same calendar year, and up against Houston Knights on CBS, and Poor Little Rich Girl Night 2 on NBC, and pretty much the same ABC lineup, except now at 10 o'clock after Who's the Boss, Growing Pains, and Moonlighting was 30-something.
Ah.
So a real weird assortment of shows, isn't it? That
Yes.
Tuesday night lineup?
Yeah.
Who's the Boss, Growing Pains, Moonlighting, and 30-something. Truly a broad range of programming.
Yeah. All things I watched at some point in my life, but...
Yeah, but don't remember them watching them as a block like that.
Probably not, no.
Yeah, that seems bizarre.
I just remember Coach being a Tuesday show, but that must have been later.
Yeah, I think
after Moonlighting left or something. But what is Houston Knights?
You know what? I don't remember that one. It's KNIGHTS, so I think it was a
action
show that didn't last very long.
Yeah.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Good. Poor Little Rich Girl. Was that a movie?
Miniseries.
Miniseries, okay.
Yeah, I think based on like Barbara Hutton, I think like a socialite, kind of a book about her or something, or autobiography. So it's like a 2-night event or something.
Yeah, I don't know how any of that stuff could compete with this episode.
No, This Is Your Life, and this is a Ben episode.
Yes, I didn't think I would want to do a Ben episode until I read this description.
Yeah,
that you offered in a list of choices, and it was irresistible.
Yeah.
Now, it does start out in a classic family sitcom story. A kid needs a tonsillectomy.
Yeah.
Every family show used to do this.
Yeah, I don't know what the rate of that procedure is in real life, but in television, it's got to be through the roof.
I spent my whole childhood waiting for that to happen. Never did.
Right. You assumed that you were going to need one eventually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you on that. It definitely seemed inevitable if you were watching television.
So, Ben's going to have this tonsillectomy, and he thinks he's going to die or something's going to happen.
Right.
They're eating Chinese food. Maggie had the interesting line, who says Chinese food isn't filling? Like, everyone?
Yeah.
And then they're reading fortunes, and there's some Mike and Carol fighting and making jokes about each other, and Jason gets an ad for a Mexican restaurant owned by the same people.
Yeah.
Ben gets a blank fortune, which just makes him feel weirder.
Yeah.
About things.
I've had that happen to me before. Like in a fortune cookie, you just get like a blank piece of paper.
Sure. Yeah.
It leaves you a little unsettled.
It seems like, this is probably a bigger part of it, that nobody's quite paying attention to him, even though this is going on. Like, Mike was going to stay home and play Super Vito Brothers with him, and but he's got something else to do.
Yeah, he totally blows him off.
Yeah, Carol's got something to do.
Yeah.
He won't play with Jason because Jason stinks.
Yeah.
Maggie's not even part of the conversation.
Yeah, it wasn't even a starter, I guess.
Yeah, and then the next day we're in the hospital. That was kind of like they had this dramatic music playing as they're pushing him.
Yeah, I think it was the Ben Casey theme song, if I remember correctly. They mentioned like several other medical shows, but I think that was Ben Casey.
Yeah.
It was Yeah.
Okay. Ben apparently is a racist. No. Like the nurse is Asian, and he tells her, I ate Chinese food last night. She's like, oh, great, I'll tell my family.
Yeah. The totally non-stereotypical accent, too. But, that was kind of weird.
Yeah. Jason's trying to get his spirit up and tells him, Seavers always face their problems. They don't run away. And Ben says, I wish I wasn't a Seaver.
Yeah.
And then they take him in, and they're putting the anesthetic, and the doctor's talking to him about TV and mentions all these medical shows like Dr. Kildare and Medical Center and Trapper John.
Yeah.
And Ben's like, what? They're going with the Gonzo. And Ben makes, a little in-joke. Like,
yeah, as he's drifting off.
He's like, yeah, that, no, that show that's on between Who's the Boss and Moonlighting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other episode had something about that, too, where he had said Friday was the best night of TV, and Jason said, no, a Tuesday.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should mention who the doctor is.
Who is it? I sort of recognize him, but
Franklin Seals, who was a frequent guest star, I think, on 80s shows and connection to a previous show. He replaced Genius Award winner Leonard Lightfoot on Silver Spoons.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it was good to see him in a short but punchy role as the doctor.
Yeah, and then Ben seems to fall asleep, but then he seems to wake up.
Yeah.
I don't know, the doctor and the nurse, I forget why they're not paying attention, but he runs out. He frees himself, runs in the hallway. A lot of people laugh at his butt showing in the hospital gown, and then he meets a cabbie. And this cabbie looks very familiar.
He does, yes.
Not just to Ben, but to us. Who is he?
He's beloved Jonas Grumby, apparently, from Gilligan's Island.
Jonas Grumby?
Yes.
Is that the skipper's name?
Yes,
really?
And actually, do you remember they had the shot of, they showed cabbie's license and it says J. Grumby?
Yeah.
So that proves that it is the same man that was the skipper on Gilligan's Island. That is good enough for me.
I didn't even know the skipper had a name.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever even mentioned it on the show, but I guess it's established,
canon.
And so his hack license said Jonas Grumby.
Wow.
But it's
Alan Hale Jr.
Yes, Alan Hale, aka the skipper.
He was looking pretty fit in that.
Yeah, he was very robust.
Yeah.
I mean, this was 20 years after Gilligan's Island, and yeah, good for him. He seemed kind of like, hey, the skipper.
He did, yeah. He
was
very jolly.
Yeah. Like doing that totally seemed to come from a totally different TV show, which he was.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that kind of thing where, everything he says, he punctuates it with like big wide eyes and like a big smile and just, it's surreal, which is appropriate.
Yes. But he says he'll take Ben anywhere.
Yeah.
He knows where he wants to go before he wants to go, which is home to 15 Robin Hood Lane.
Yeah.
So he takes him home. And again, very jolly and very excited about it. Very helpful. Ben's inside, packing his suitcase to run away, and he yells up, remember to bring some clean underwear.
Yeah.
So Ben gets him one pair, puts it in the suitcase.
Yeah, that's sufficient.
Yeah. Along with, his video games and...
Yeah. All the essentials.
All the essentials. And then on the way out, he decides to take a second pair.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Right. Good to have a backup.
Right.
It's good thinking.
As he's on the way down the stairs, he hears the family coming home, and he's watching as they come in and welcome Ben into the house after his successful surgery.
Right.
Well, that's weird. But it's even weirder because when Ben walks in the door, he's not Ben. He's Danny Cooksey.
Yes.
Of all people.
TV's Danny Cooksey.
It's Danny Cooksey. Just probably recently off his different stroke stint.
Yeah.
Still tiny.
This was very funny. I mean, I imagine
I was very impressed with his portrayal of this character.
New shadings of his in his performance, I wouldn't have thought possible.
Yeah.
It made me wonder if they wasted him on different strokes.
Boy, they might have.
I mean, I think that would be a great surprise if you didn't see the TV guide, didn't see any commercials, and you saw this happen. That would be be pretty funny if you just saw this happen like that. It would be a nice surprise to have him come in.
Yeah, and he's a very different sort of Ben. I mean, at first he's definitely what we saw in Different Strokes. Mm-hmm. He's very happy. He says things like swell and gee willikers.
Yeah.
He's just the best son ever.
Yeah. And the rest of the family's talking like that too.
Yeah, they are.
They're playing off it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's touching Mike's leather jacket, and Mike ends up giving it to him.
Yeah.
And of course, he puts it on, but it's giant.
Right.
And Mike and Carol, they get in a fight, but it's over because they both want to play with Ben.
Yeah.
And then Ben, the parents don't know how to solve this, and Ben, or fake Ben, solves it by just, why don't we all play a game?
Yeah.
Oh, why don't we all play a game together? And nobody sees real Ben.
Yeah.
In fact, they walk through him.
Right. He's totally invisible.
Except for, it turns out, fake Ben can see real Ben.
Yeah.
And that's where Danny Cooksey's performance gets interesting.
Yeah, they have a conversation in Ben's room.
Yes, and he's a little bit menacing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That's a really great twist that makes the episode, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he's aware of what's going on. He's aware of the situation. And
yeah.
He totally sees it.
And he basically he explains it that, well, you said you didn't want to be a Seaver, so now I'm Ben.
Yeah. It's like, too bad, you missed it, but
yeah.
give him the brush off.
And then there's a scene, and the whole family's there. It's in the kitchen, and I guess that's when they're talking about that, and all wanting to play with Ben and play a game, and real Ben kind of gets upset and is like, I do want to be a Seaver, and I'll get the surgery if that means I can be a Seaver. And fake Ben shoots him a look.
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, what's wrong? Ben, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And then the mom and dad sort of hear him, and this is enough to get that real Ben realizes he needs to go back to the hospital to get the surgery. But then there's a problem there. The skipper, he can only take him on one-way trips, so he can't take him back to the hospital. He could take him somewhere else, but he can't take him back. So Ben does what...
seems reasonable.
Yeah. Ben steals the cab.
Yeah.
And then, because the episode wasn't weird enough, there's this whole thing where he's driving the cab and all this green screen stuff behind him. Yeah.
It's because they couldn't just cut to him being in the hospital, right?
No.
They had to show that for some reason.
Yeah, and it's there's a cavalry charge, a thunderstorm. A house explodes, and the cab turns upside down at one point. There's dinosaurs, a jet.
Yeah.
The Roadrunner, which was weirdly pixelated. And a train.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, Jeremy Miller totally overacting as he's driving this car.
Yeah.
And then he gets to the hospital, and it's all spooky, and the doctors are being all creepy, and there's fog and stuff. And but then he wakes up, and it turns out, of course, this was all anesthesia-induced hallucination.
Right. And in classic fashion, nobody else can understand what he's on about. And,
yeah.
And he's making references to things that they don't understand what he's talking about.
Right. He's surprisingly good at talking for having just had the surgery.
Yeah, he snapped out of a tonsillectomy.
Yeah.
he's
a little raspy, but
yeah.
Also, the only reference to ice cream was during the dream sequence.
Right, when they offer in first fake Ben demurs, right?
Yes, watching his waiters.
Yeah. Oh, come on, a little bit. Oh, well, maybe just one scoop.
Yeah.
All right,
Fake Ben.
Yeah. Fake Ben was the highlight of this episode.
He was, and at the very end of the episode, they wheel Danny Cooksey by on a gurney, and Ben freaks out and is yelling at him.
It's you, yeah, it's him. And he just kind of looks like, what,
Yeah.
It was a bizarre episode, all right, yeah.
They was.
Clearly had some fun with this one.
Yeah.
They just threw some things in there, and it was just odd getting the skipper.
Right.
And the whole fake Ben thing. I mean, the fake Ben thing alone was kind of weird, but some of these other details, like you mentioned, like that weird green screen thing and the skipper being in there, really kind of gave this some interesting flavor. This is really one of the better episodes I've seen, actually. I was entertained by this.
I think so, and I think we both enjoy when this kind of sitcom sort of just leans into being a ridiculous sitcom sometimes. Mm-hmm. Maybe more so than trying to be very special.
Yeah. But, and that's totally what happened here, yeah.
Sometimes it's maybe a sitcom does too much of that, like Family Matters.
Yeah.
But it was fun. And Jeremy Miller is certainly better at this point than he was in the first couple seasons, I think.
Yeah.
And let all the actors have fun by being a little different, but it certainly gave him a lot. I mean, he was in every scene.
Yeah, it was kind of a change of pace to give him a spotlight episode, and I like this. Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny. And Danny Cooksey, we're raving about Danny Cooksey's performance, so props to him.
Yeah. He really did pull off the sinister part.
Yeah.
Just modulated just enough to...
Yeah. Yeah, he was a force to be reckoned with, for sure.
And seemed afraid, too.
Yeah.
Which seemed right for that idea.
Right. He was desperate. Like,
yes.
do anything to keep his spot.
Yeah.
That was his motivation. He wasn't going back to wherever he came from.
Exactly.
The Drummond household or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you rather live with the Drummonds or the Seavers?
Oof. Certainly the Drummond house would be a better house to have a cocaine party at. That's a
Mike, don't be a weenie.
Okay.
I do like that weenie is like the I think the default insult on Growing Pains, and that was seemed like to me it was bigger back in the 80s, right?
I think it was for a while. Yeah.
Like not particularly edgy, but kind of like to me it's something like you hear the grown-ups say like something they'd hear the kids say and try to repeat it, But on Growing Pains, I think the whole family shared in that. The whole family indulged in that.
They indulged in weenies.
Yes. Strangely, when Boner came over, he declined. He passed.
Right.
Go figure.
So that's Growing Pains.
It certainly is.
I'm glad this one won.
Yeah.
I think we had some fun with it.
Yeah, I did. I think we had some good episodes, and it was interesting revisiting it. Again, not one of my favorite shows. I think it had more promise in the first season, and I think if they had kept more to the some of the things they set up early and focused more on the family, and maybe cast the show differently. And well, you know what? Maybe I'll just stop there.
Maybe just aired reruns of Family Ties.
Yeah, right. I mean, some of the other notable episodes, like there's Matthew Perry is a drunk driver. That's like a kind of a very special episode. Brad Pitt was on a couple of episodes playing two different characters, and I'd recommend the second one, Feet of Clay. That's a pretty funny episode.
That's a Ben one too, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and kind of famous for launching Leo DiCaprio's career.
Yeah.
To the horror of all of us, but to the sheer delight of Martin Scorsese.
Yes. And Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Do you think Martin Scorsese watched Growing Pains and had his eye on him from that point on?
Yeah, I think maybe I think he was an avid fan, and actually the cocaine episode is what finally helped him clean up his act.
Yeah.
Forget the heart attack and all that, but and Mike, he's got something.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to do this. I can just say no. What?
Yeah. And for a while, he thought maybe one day that Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. Oh boy, if history had gone just slightly differently.
But then Leo showed up, and when that guy's in his late 20s. Yeah. Finally, I'll get Gangs of New York off the ground.
If only we could have seen Kirk Cameron in Shutter Island or
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he had to settle for Left Behind and those kind of movies. So.
Yeah. Well, I was doing some search yesterday involved with this and did see a very recent news article, something about Kirk Cameron saying he would be up for a Growing Pains reboot. But I mean, without Alan Thicke, I don't see the point.
Yeah, I mean he was like 63 and had a heart attack a couple of years ago, and I don't know. There'd just definitely be an air of sadness over the whole thing.
Yeah,
I think with some of the premature deaths and the issues and the fact that they cast Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, there's just so much like hardship and I don't know.
I guess if they could get him back.
Oh well, now you're talking.
It'd be a guaranteed hit.
Now you're talking. Yeah, maybe that's what he's doing. He's trying to get him on the reel and pull him in. I don't know. Maybe they should get Danny Cooksey to play the Leonardo DiCaprio role.
There you go.
Yeah, have him come back as Luke and just see what he can do with it.
Yeah.
Just an idea.
Another idea from the Idea Factory.
Another idea from the Reboot Factory.
Yes. But I think the other two shows, it might be worth talking about at some point.
Yes.
Like, I think the Valerie one, maybe the show would be less interesting than all of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's really a forgotten sitcom that was, kind of a thing back in its day, and maybe more for some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, but that one's really almost been erased. I mean, I guess it's been on in reruns, but not very high profile.
Yeah, I did watch that some. Plus, chance to talk about Danny Ponce.
Yes. There you go.
And
Get ready to polish those Batty Awards, because we're going to be handing some out to Danny Ponce.
And that other kid.
Yeah. Well, yes, I'd like to say to fans of the shows that didn't win, don't worry. We haven't done this yet, but any show that doesn't win, we don't want to say loser. We want to say the show that doesn't win.
Right.
is eligible to come back at some point, we'll certainly revisit some of these ones. And there's some in the docket I think that we'll want to get to at some point. So fear not.
And, we have talked about Tony Danza already once. Yeah. Probably more than once, but certainly on the Taxi episode. So.
Yeah, we'll get to Tony Danza again someday.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for voting. We'll have another poll coming up in the season, although, well, who knows? There is another poll listener one coming up.
Yes.
I don't know if the poll will be out before this airs or after this airs or what's going on with that. But you will have had a chance to vote, or you will have a chance to vote.
Am I in a dream right now?
Yes.
I think I've been anesthesia.
And Danny Cooksey is now the co-host. What's on next week, Rick?
All right. Well, I think we better get out of here before we make this one a 3-hour tour.
Yes.
Hey, a lot of kids and even adults these days think it's cool to keep your tonsils even if they keep getting infected. They think not having surgery and not getting lots of ice cream and suffering from repeated illness makes them tough or pure. Well, we think differently. We think if you need the surgery, you should get the surgery. Listen, we're not getting paid to say this. We just think it's right. If you think we're not cool for saying you should have your tonsils removed if you get repeated infections, then you're wrong. Join us next time for another exciting episode of Battle of the Network Shows. Learn more, leave feedback, and suggest future episodes at battleofthenetworkshows.com. Follow us on Twitter at BatNetShows, and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Battle of the Network Shows.